Welcome to Philosophy and Critical Thinking. In today's video, I'll be discussing a thought experiment from Bernard Williams, which I call Aliens. Imagine that Earth has been invaded by aliens. The aliens have come, and we've realized that the aliens are far more technologically advanced than us. They have better health and well-being. No one seems to be disadvantaged or oppressed in the society of the aliens. They seem to be far superior to us in every way. The aliens disclose that the way we live our lives is antithetical to how we can achieve living as well as they do. They conclude that our nature of our family relationships, our cultural practices, our art, our religions, our entertainment, everything that we enjoy in the world and we care about are all contradictory to bringing about the world they have. So what they decide to do is to start imposing their way of life onto ours because it's in our best interest. The question Williams asks from this thought experiment is, would you resist the aliens or cooperate with them? The keeping in mind cooperating with them would require you to give up everything you engage in culturally or socially. You'd have to give up your family, and you'd have to give up your religion and any other parts of the culture that you're a part of. So, just to restate the question, would you resist the aliens or cooperate with them? I argue that the thought experiment is analogous with colonisation, specifically British colonisation against Indigenous people. This is because British colonisers and philosophers sympathetic to British colonisation had argued that making the Indigenous people assimilate to the colonisers was in their best interest, that the colonisers were superior, both technologically and morally, to the Indigenous people, and so that they should, impose their rules on them because they know better. That it's up to them, kind of almost treating Indigenous people like children, kind of like you don't know any better. It's up to us to point you in the right direction. An example of this is John Stuart Mill, who, in his ethics regarding being paternalistic in Western societies, was quite strongly against it. He didn't like imposing rules or imposing laws onto other people because it's better for them. He would argue that what's called the harm principle. He said the only rules you can impose on people is not to do harm to others. Other than that, it's not up to you to impose what you think is best for them. If there's somebody doing something that is not in their own best interest, that's not up to you. You got let them do what they want to do. But yet he held exemptions to Indigenous people. He said, "No, that's an exemption. They do need our help." So you can see a bit of that kind of that implicit inconsistency there, and you can see that rationale to why British colonisers would argue that we can enforce our rules onto these people because it's for their own good. Say many years have passed and the aliens have regretted their past actions of their predecessors, that they've concluded that the aliens who imposed on all their rules onto the human beings and stripped away their religions, cultures, and social practices and art and family setups, all of those kind of things, to do that was wrong. Do the aliens, the current aliens, have a moral obligation to assist in restoring what was lost? I would argue, at least the governmental aliens, if there's aliens in the places of authority, I would say yes, that they do. I'll leave it to you whether you agree or disagree with that. But if you do agree with that, and if you agree that the alien thought experiment is analogous to British colonisation, then it would follow that the current governments have a moral obligation to assist in restoring what was lost regarding Indigenous people. Because if it's analogous, and that you would say that the aliens should have a moral obligation, you'd say that current governments also have the same moral obligation. You wouldn't accept arguments saying that if the aliens turned around and said, oh, it was a long time ago, get over it, or something like that, you wouldn't find any of those arguments impressive. Furthermore, if the aliens tried to respond by saying, oh, well, in other alien societies, they've done it to other people too, or they've done it to us as well, we were in another planet and they did it to us too, you wouldn't be impressed by any of that. You'd say, well, no, that's got nothing to do with anything. You did it to us and you've accepted it was wrong. You have a moral obligation to try help us in restoring as much as we can. So I'll leave the thought experiment there and see whether you agree or disagree with that. If you want more information, you can go onto the website philosophycriticalthinking.com. On that website, I do have a tutorial on arguments from analogy and thought experiments to help give you the tools to analyze this a bit more, to see whether you agree or disagree with it, or you can find some relevant differences. I also highly recommend, there's an essay called The Human Prejudice by Bernard Williams, where he puts this thought experiment in there. It's in a slightly different context. It's in regarding animals and human beings, but that's where it came from. There's actually a YouTube video of the entire essay, which I'll put in the description. So if you'd like to stick around for more thought experiments or more videos or articles, please subscribe and click the bell. Thanks.